Hi, this is Kevin Trainer, and welcome to my tutorial on setting SQL modes for our course. So this is a tutorial for use with my database course where we use MySQL. And so I should probably say setting MySQL modes for our course. I think that's what it was supposed to say. Um, and it turns out that there are a lot of settings for the server that are configurable. And during the course, we learn that we can turn at least one of them on and off. And as you read about relational databases and MySQL, sort of around the net, particularly if you, let's say you have some kind of error and you do a search and you find an article on Stack Overflow, they'll often say that you should turn off this feature or turn on that feature. And so what I have decided to do is to come up with a series of settings that are the right ones for our course. And I put them in a script. And what we're going to do now is we're going to download that. And we'll look at it a bit. I'll explain it some. But all you really need to do is to run the script. And then you'll know that your copy of MySQL will be in the same state, okay, configured the same way that mine is going to be when I grade your work, which is a pretty good idea, okay? So how are we going to do that? Well, right now we're looking at the weekly schedule for the database course that I'm teaching at the Illinois iSchool in the current semester, the fall of 2019. And I've put this tutorial video on the list of videos to play. And I've put a resource here, scripts to reset MySQL modes. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to download that and we're going to properly install it with the rest of our MySQL files, and then we will run it and discuss it a bit. Okay, so let's see. Let me fire up a file here in the Mac. It's a Finder, but we're just going to go to Downloads, and I'm going to clear that out. Okay, so we'll delete all those. Okay, now I'm going to click on this link to the scripts, and that's going to download to downloads. So let's go back to downloads and take a look. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, we have a zip file. So let's unzip it. Okay, the way I've set it up on the Mac, we double click it. There are some people who may have their Mac configured, provided that they're on the Mac. They may have their Mac configured to automatically unzip things that they download. And if that's true, well, then it's already unzipped. Okay, so we've got a bunch of scripts, and I'll talk about them in a minute, but let's find a place to put these. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm using Finder Windows, but if you're on Windows, you can do the same thing with File Explorer. So you open up another window. Okay, so we're going to have a new one. And I put the files that came with the Maroc book and other related files I've put them under documents. Okay. So you are going to remember where you put those files. Okay. So me, if I go to documents, way up in the top, I've got this thing called a lot of underscores and then MySQL 3E data. So that's where I want to put it. And I want to put it, I just want to take the whole directory, unzipped as it is, and pull it over to the MySQL 3E data. Okay, because that's where we're keeping all the things, all the scripts related to this course. Okay, so that's what you do. Okay, now could you take the zip file and put it over there and unzip it and then delete the zip file? Sure, you could. Okay, I'm just trying to give you some idea about how to get it over there. All right, so we've got the files downloaded and installed in the proper place. Let's bring up MySQL Workbench, which I have right here. And let's take a look at the various scripts. Okay, so I'm going to open up a local instance. It looks like it's got some code in it already, so I'll close that up. And let's open one of the let's open the main script I want you to be able to run. So, okay, we went to MySQL 3E data. Here's the scripts to reset MySQL modes. Okay. And there's a whole bunch here. And when we go to the various features, I'll talk about the features as we get there. Okay. But, oh, this is interesting. Let's load this one. Show SQL mode. Okay. So this is a variable, a special variable in MySQL that you can display with a select. So let's do that. So I took that, and what you see is of these modes, okay, only full group by, which that has to do with a feature we haven't gotten to yet, which is called group by. Okay, so that's something that's interesting to us. Okay, that's currently turned on. Okay, let's see what else we have. Of the things that interest us, that's the only one we're really interested in yet. Okay. All right. So what? And then something that we're going to learn today. Okay. So we're going to learn about, and why do I say today? Well, I've put this, at least in the current schedule, I've put this tutorial in front of the lecture for chapter 5. So in chapter 5, we talk about this thing called safe update mode, and they talk of it as being a feature of the MySQL Workbench. And in fact, you can turn it on and off in MySQL Workbench. But you can also turn it on and off on the server. That's how they got the idea for the feature in Workbench. Okay. And how do they implement it? Well, they simply send the command to the server like they do with a lot of other things. So let's open it up and let's look at that safe update mode. Okay, so I have one of the things I have here is show safe update mode. So let's open up that. Okay, and again, there's a variable called SQL safe updates. That's where that's kept. Okay, And if we run this query, we'll see that SQL safe updates are off. So that means that right now, this on my configuration, SQL safe updates, that it's out of that mode. That mode is turned off. Okay. When we first install the product, it's usually on. Okay. And in chapter 5, we talk about how to turn it on and off using the configurations for Workbench. Okay. So how can I turn that back on? Well, you know what I could do? I've got one called, do I have one called turn on? Is save update mode? Yep, right here. Okay. So how do we do it? Well, we set it equal to 1. Okay. So let's give that a run. Okay. And we're not seeing our console down here right now. Let's get our console back. There it is. Okay, so you can see where we got the safe updates on. That's good. Okay, so we have we have a script that will display the safe update mode. Okay, let's come back and run that again, and we can see that it's on. Okay, all right. So for chapter 5, which is what we're going to do next, okay, the feature that we're the most interested in is this SQL safe updates. Okay, and we see we have a script to turn it on, a script to turn it off, a script to display its current state. You can do the same things with the configuration for Workbench. So that's the only thing we're really going to explore in the short term. But what about the long term? Well, I created a script called Set SQL Modes for Database course. So let's open that. And this does a couple things. One, it turns safe updates off, okay, because the rule that I have in my course is that there are some things that we ask you to do in the exercises that won't work with safe update mode on. Okay, so eventually I'm going to say that you'll do well to just leave it off. Okay. Foreign key checks. Okay. Well, also in chapter 5, we're going to learn about foreign key checks being on all the time. Okay, and here when we change that variable to 1, we're turning it on. Okay, and changing only full group by to turning that on. That's going to be something that we're going to be using when we get to group by, which is in a future chapter beyond chapter 5. Okay, so this is the state that we want for those 3 things. Now, one of the things I realized when I was doing my grading is that at various times, either accidentally or because of some advice that students found on Stack Overflow or something like that, or for nefarious purposes, I've had students turn these things, particularly foreign key checks and only full group by, I've had them turn them off. Okay. Well, then when I get to work, they won't run on my machine. So the problem is that you run it on your own machine, and you go, oh great, I'm probably going to get 100 on this assignment, and then I run it, and it doesn't even run. Which case you're going to get something that's closer to 0 than to 100. So this puts all these things into the mode that I use when I do grading. So what do? You just run it. So you just come up here and you run it. It sets all three. Okay? So that's all you really have to know. Again, today I think we'll probably talk about SQL safe updates and foreign key checks, why we want those, why we want safe updates turned off, and why we want foreign key checks turned on. Okay. And the only full group by, again, that's a chapter or 2 or 3 down the road. All right. So just to um, practice it once again. So we're going to go to, let's go to Documents. This is where I put all those files, right? And we open up that. Then we're going to go to Scripts to reset MySQL modes. And the easiest way to do this is just to take the first one, open up Set SQL Modes for Database Course, and run it. Okay? You can run it over and over again because it just sets everything in the proper mode. Okay? So you can't set it too many times. And there you are. You're all set. Okay? That should put you in the situation that you need to be in for the exercises for the rest of the course. Okay? All right. I'm going to say bye until next time. Bye-bye.